morning, Vasco here. Before, when we were writing our reducer functions, we noticed that it's very easy to fall into the situation where we are mutating the original store state, instead of mutating the copy that we typically do at the beginning of the reducer method. So let's say that, for example, here in the handle new messages received action, we were changing here the original state instead of the new store state. It could also very easily happen here. So what we want to do is we want to prevent this situation, because this can lead to bugs that are hard to troubleshoot. So in order to avoid this situation, we are going to use a library, which is part of the Ngrx ecosystem. So in order to avoid this problem, we are going to use the Ngrx store freeze library. What is this library? It's a port of Redux freeze. What this will do is it will throw an error if we try to do what we are doing here. So we will get a runtime error. So how will this work? This Ngrx store freeze library, when added to our application, will recursively call object.freeze on the different objects of the application state. So for that, it's going to use internally the deep freeze library that is going to recursively call object.freeze. You can see here what is the current support for object.freeze. So currently it's basically supported in all browsers. So if you want, you could even use this in production. The recommended way of doing this is using it in development mode. So let's see Ngrx store freeze in action. If we switch back to our application and we head over to the terminal, we're going to install this library. We're going to save it as a development dependency. So now that we have the library installed, let's see how can we use it. We are going to go over to our application module. So here we were defining our combined reducer. So this is the main reducer function of the whole store. It takes as input the application state and produces a new complete application state. What we want to do is we want to take the result of that output and we want to deep freeze it. So what we're going to do here is we are going to use the Ngrx compose function, and we are going to compose together a couple of reducers. So we're going to pass in here to the compose function. Let's first import it. So it's ngrx/core/compose. So this takes as input arguments. Let's take a look at the import. Here it is. This compose function takes as input arguments a list of reducers. So here it's taking the combined reducer, which is the result of combining these two reducer functions using the function combine reducers. Now what we want to do is to take the output of combine reducers, which is the application state, and we want to freeze it by passing it in to another reducer that we are going to retrieve from the store freeze library. So here it is, the import. Now with this in place, we have everything that we need to prevent the mutation of the application state in reducer functions. Let's see this in action. If we switch back to the browser, we have here two windows. We also have here at the bottom the console open so that we can see any error messages that might show up. So here we are going to select Alice in the left hand side and the first thread. And here on the right hand side, let's say that we select Bob and the same thread. What we're going to do here is we are going to send a message from Bob to Alice. So as we can see, this has triggered an error. Let's have a better look at the error. It simply says state mutation is prohibited inside of reducers. So this is what one would expect. It doesn't tell us what is the reducer that caused the problem, but we have here on the stack trace the handle new messages received action. So here it is. We have identified what is the reducer that is causing the problem. If we switch back to the application, let's now fix the issue that we have created here. So we are going to use again new store state everywhere. If we hit Ctrl S, this is going to build the application again. Once the application is built, let's switch back to the browser and the application should have reloaded. Let's again reproduce the same scenario. On the left hand side Alice, on the right Bob. We try to send a message from Bob to Alice, and what we get? Now we don't get any error. Let's see, we have here the message displayed as expected. So The Ngrx store freeze is effectively preventing us from doing this mistake that we have previously seen before. So this is a great utility to have. It prevents us from doing bugs that are quite hard to troubleshoot. So I really recommend that you use it, at least on your development environment.